If you only knew the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.
Welcome back for another GamesWorld commentary abomination. A combomination courtesy Harold Rutherford Yack. And here we have Mario being... Oh, look at that CG train! He's being transported to the GamesWorld studios by... it's his own private train. I wonder if Mario ever rode a train in the games. It's a moot point. Because this is the GamesWorld and crazy stuff happens in the world of Sky 1.
To GamesWorld. Tonight is cheat night, so please enter the Peep Parlour.
As the voiceover person says there, this is the Peep Parlour. Complete with fantastic CGI animation for the early 90s. Yes, look at that. State-of-the-art stuff. And I'm not lying there, this actually was fairly expensive, I should think. The voice of Jane Copland there, Madam Pixel. And here is someone you may be familiar with. It's that bloke off Little Britain. Yes, David Williams, not the bald one, and he's got his cat with him there. So evidently he's been doing these strange sort of off-the-wall, oddball characters for far longer than we care to think. Anyway, he's giving us a cheat here on Echo the Dolphin. I didn't play this game much, I do have it, and I believe I have Echo 2 as well. But I played it once. One of the games from the very early days of the Mega Drive.
Alright. Keep it quiet, but it's actually Spike's birthday today, and...
What's that all about? You don't need to zoom in on that cat. Okay. I didn't think I'd be seeing that at 6:30 in the afternoon. Yes, naked David Williams, half-naked David Williams. And who's this crazy character here? Yes, indeed, David Williams is playing all these blasted characters in this show. A comedy cavalcade it is indeed. Might as well call it the David Williams Show. Fairly high-quality game capture there for the early 90s. I remember some of the video games magazines in the late 80s and the early 90s didn't have such things, so they would have to actually take pictures of the television screen. Low tech, but it worked. Well, kind of. They looked a bit rubbish. But we put up with it back then. I mean, the quality of some of those magazines was pretty pants, but I think it was the amateurish quality that drew you to it, and the fact there were no other outlets as there are now with the internet. GamesWorld and GamesMaster and the magazines were the only way we could get our tips and cheats and be a big fat cheater.
Password screen will then appear. Pick one of these passwords to get anywhere throughout the game. Wall, Loxley, Dubois, Chase, Cathedra, Ball, Well, Chapel, Catacomb, Master, Tax, Pond.
Of course, you've got to record this on tape or you're never going to remember all those. Oh no, we don't need to see that, come on. There's no need for that. Another wonderful character played by David Williams there. Whoa, let's give him motion sickness. The gratuitous camera angles and computer manipulation. State of the art, as I've said. Coming up here, we have a cheat, or a funny occurrence, in Link to the Past. Ruined only by David Williams there. I wonder if he is wearing pants there. I don't know, we'll have to stop the video and zoom in to have a look. Actually, no, let's move on quickly. What's the next game?
Thank you very much. Is there a cheat on Alien 3 on the Master System?
Alien 3 on the Master System. Oh no, we've got another crazy comedy character. So, a little bit more background on GamesWorld. I've already mentioned in a previous commentary that on Monday and Wednesday, I believe it was, they had the kids come in and play against each other in the different games. Now this left Tuesday and Thursday free for all sorts of crazy stuff that they would fill their schedules with. Madam Pixel's Peep Parlour is one that I don't actually remember at all. I don't really remember being interested in the Tuesday and Thursday editions. They had Barry TV a little bit later on, which was a spin-off by Big Boy Barry, one of the videators on Beat the Elite.
The game's messiah, but after all, he is holier than thou.
And speaking of videators, here's an appearance from one of them. Some guy you will never remember. It's the Games Messiah, a rather lofty name, a rather lofty title for such a lowly person. Sorry if you're watching this, Games Messiah. I don't know about you, but this game doesn't look very interesting. It's got a bloke wearing a party hat in the top left corner. Is it Christmas related? Certainly it looks like they're throwing snowballs on a snowfield there. Ah, a bit like South Park on the N64. There he is again, the guy in the party hat. We've got a Terminator rip-off at the bottom, a Spanish Inquisition Monty Python type dude, and some other woman who I didn't get a good view of. But who cares about her? Who cares about women in video games? Certainly not the developers in the early 90s. Largely unrepresented as the furrer sex was.
Keep this strategy up for most of the game.
What is that effect there? He's supposed to be floating on her as if he's some sort of modern-day Jesus? Ah, my goodness. I've just remembered now, actually, they used to do GamesWorld Live. Oh, I'm going to have to do a commentary on that. It was largely boring, if I remember correctly, where they had very, very young children come in. Well, not very, very, age of 7 or 8, whereas on the Monday and Wednesday they had 10 to 15-year-olds. I believe on this they were a little bit younger. And they tried to crowbar in a few risque jokes courtesy the presenter Andy Collins, who didn't make much of a lasting impression on me. There were other presenters. What happened was they had a guy in the studio, in the Hewland studio, which was filled with these supposed guys on phones taking phone calls from people who would ring in and guide people, playing the game on screen, tell them what to do. A little bit like the golden shot, left a bit, right a bit, showing my age there now. Or if you're a little bit younger, they still did this in children's television on Live and Kicking, I believe. And then a little bit later on, they allowed the kids to use their own keypads to control the character on screen. They had their own special game. I believe it was called Grab My Nuts or something like that, where they had Mr. Nuts in a custom-made level wandering round a maze, and you'd guide him. Right, 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 left, 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 up, up, up. Now, Zool! This was the first game that I played on the Amiga, I believe, and possibly the only game I've ever played on that. I was round at a cousin's house, and I thought, what's this? A video game console with a keyboard? Of course, up to then, I'd only played joypad-controlled systems, apart from the Amstrad CPC, I think. But this was a little bit more up-to-date. This was the early 90s. The Amstrad CPC, 1984. Ancient technology by comparison. Oh, why is the two Zools there? Anyway, this is huge tippery for the speedrunners out there who can probably beat this. No tool-assisted runs allowed.
This level is just to run fast, jump, and shoot your way through.
And that's it. We've finished the level in 53 seconds. Yes, this is the Hall of Fame part of the show. Look at that squashed Mega Drive there! Anyway, people come in and say, oh, look at me, I can complete Street Fighter in 10 seconds. I'm so awesome. Except not like that, not beating the chest like King Kong. That's just something that I like to do in my spare time. "78 seconds, that's actually 22 seconds, but hold on a minute, that kid looks familiar. Is he the Persian Prince of Perfection? Now, this kid's gonna beat Dalsim in about 10 or 15 seconds here, but you could probably do it quicker. Tool assisted, as I said. I don't think it was invented then, was it? Or at least you would have had to have the world's most powerful computer to do it. I wonder if the developers had such things. Ah, floating cakes! Ah! Ah! Oh, getting a little bit max headroom for my liking here. Oh, there's the address if you want to write off and post your Hall of Fame scores. I remember getting into an argument with a mate at school who said that he'd submitted some scores for Tomb Raider on the PlayStation. Except he just submitted them on a piece of paper and didn't send a photograph. And I said, they're never going to believe you. They're not going to post that in the magazine. You need to send solid proof. And anyway, I lost the argument because he was with another mate who was also a Tomb Raider fan. I was never a Tomb Raider fan. I always got the feeling that they played the game only for the photogenic main character. Speaking of which, we have Jet from Gladiators here. Okay lads, always make sure, even when you're moving her around the screen, that you keep the upper torso in shot. That's very important, because that's the only reason the kids are going to be watching this. Because I don't even know what this game is, and I don't care, and I don't think anybody's looking at this game right now.
Go up to the top of the screen and go right, using these platforms.
Although there is a pleasantly drawn sprite of an elephant there, but an even more pleasantly drawn sprite over on the left-hand side now. I'm going to stop drooling now and have a drink.
Level. I hope that brings you happiness.
Thanks.
What a tough taskmaster that games mistress is.
Jane Copland, as I've said, doing the voice of Madame Pixel there. She's straddling the various northern accents. I think she's trying to do an impression of Cilla Black, but it's more like that woman off Coronation Street. What's her name? Vera Duckworth. But we've reached the break. Next part coming up. No. Ah, yes, we're back already. I told you that was going to be a short break. I've cut the adverts out for your sake. Oh, I do love the CGI animation. How many more times am I going to have to say that? It's got that particular early 90s feel that I really like. It is slickly done as well. But let's move on to the next cheat, you big fat cheaters. You're only watching this program not only for the games mistress, but for the cheats as well, you big fat cheats. Now, what's this stupid character? What's going on here is some sort of potholer. I get the feeling that they just hunted around in the back of the Hewland studios and just picked out anything they could find and said, Mr. Williams, wear this, make up a stupid, vapid, pointless and vacant character. Ah, no! They're doing that again! Stop doing that! My word!
With the controller in port 1. And when you want to skip a level, press start, then buttons C, A and B.
Sorry about that. I just had to take a little bit of recovery time for all that. Yeah, jeez, I don't want to think about it. Anyway, Alien 3. Haven't we already talked about this game? It reminds me a little bit too much of Time Cop for me to get it. Yeah, this reminds me a little bit of the consultation zone out of Games Master. Oh, Premier Manager! Yes, one of my favourite games. Except this is on the PC. My version is on the Mega Drive. And David Walliams playing a female character there. It's not the last time he'll be cross-dressing, will it? He'll be doing that some 10 years later in Little Britain, but if you're watching this, you wouldn't have known that yet.
Oh, I know this one. Simply enter.
Oh, there's the Banzai character again. Banzai! Aha! Yeah, you can tell I'm running out of material now. Note that he spells out monster there, just in case you didn't know how to do it, and he'll spell out 17 slightly incorrectly in a minute as well. But we're not going to call him out on that, because he is rapidly becoming a British institution, not just for his work on Little Britain, but also on GamesWorld. Anybody who worked on GamesWorld goes up in my estimation. This kid looks a little bit angry, and you do have to be a bit angry, a bit like me, to play Road Rash.
Evil Knievel, don't make me laugh.
Oh, stop talking over Rob Hubbard's fantastic music. You're having a laugh, mate. I can do a better impression than this. Take a note of that if you're a big fat cheat. We were all cheaters back in the early 90s. I remember getting a Game Genie and being pretty chuffed that I can cheat on all my Mario games. It enhanced the enjoyment I had of the game. There was one particular level, I believe in World 7, the Pipe World, where you could go and get 1,000,000 coins with the Skywalker cheat. Oh yes, that's a particularly vivid childhood memory I have of the Game Genie. And I also had a little bit of a go at coding my own cheats and glitches and things like that. You can get the most fun out of doing that. But the only time I actually came across an actual glitch, or I coded my own code for a glitch, was with Chippendale Rescue Rangers. On the NES, all I managed to make it do was have extra barrels appear. It's a very young big boy Barry there, and he really was big back in the day. Not just in size, but in popularity as well, because, as I've said, he had his own spin-off. BTV or Barry TV is telling us how to do the WWF game here. Is he beating up the ref there? That's rather unfortunate, isn't it? That's actually what they do, isn't it, in the WWE now? WWF as it was then. The Worldwide Fund for Nature were not happy, although they let them continue with the WWF moniker for many, many years before they came and said, oh, come on, those poor pandas and extinct creatures who are crying. They're watching the WWF wrestling, think it's going to be pandas wrestling. It's false advertising. And he's pinned, yes. I don't watch wrestling an awful lot. I used to a little bit in the early 90s, late 80s, when I was very young, on Sky Sports. They used to have the WWF segment. Oh, that just reminded me. On Sky 1, I have an episode of that from really early 90s. And a couple of episodes of Cops. Unfortunately, I don't have any GamesWorld episodes. If you have any GamesWorld episodes on tape, please, please, please upload them to YouTube. I'll be eternally grateful. I'll send you something. How about, a post-it note? Oh, this pen I have here. The ink has run out, but I'll send it to you as a token gesture. It's an Energel liquid gel ink Pentel pen. In its day, it was fantastic. It's looking a bit tatty now. But I will send you that. If you send me any episodes, or just upload them to the internet. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, and I should also do a commentary of that episode that I have of the WWF Wrestling. Oh, that'll be fun for you, won't it? And I'll try and get some sort of wrestling expert in. Back to GamesWorld, yes. I used to rush home and watch it. Oh, it was so fantastic. I think the only show that I enjoyed just as much back then was Nightmare, that I really did make sure that I saw it. But half the time my parents were watching something, some soap or something on Sky, so I couldn't watch it. But when I could watch it, it was fantastic. Right, hold on a sec here. I'm going to stop a minute here. Listen to this question.
So please, come clean with your queries.
Madam Pixel, can I buy Cash Dash, the game that's used in GamesWorld's Eliminator and Beat the Elite shows?
No, I'm afraid not. That game's for the privileged few on GamesWorld. But we might indulge you one day if the fancy takes us.
Right, so there you go. It's confirmed once and for all that you cannot buy Cash Dash. It was a specially made game. Now, I didn't know that. Well, I suspected it, but I do want to play it. I don't think they ever released it, but I would play it. It needs some more levels, doesn't it? It seems to be just a one-screen dealie for those Beat the Elites and the head-to-head playoffs. Ah, very clever. Very clever techniques used there to make Madam Pixel's head rise like it was being carried by the balloon. Oh dear, eggs. Sorry, I'm getting encapsulated by all this madness going on screen here. So yes, guys, please do upload any of your old kids, well, not really kids, but kids to teenagers, video game, TV shows. Oh my goodness. I'm just starting to drool again. So, no doubt a lot of you out there will have watched Gladiators on a Saturday evening back in the early to mid-90s. I certainly did, with John Fashanu and possibly Ulrika Johnson, if I remember correctly. Now, Jet, Diane Udale, who you see on screen right now, was one of the gladiators in that. I don't particularly remember any of the gladiators, apart from Wolf. Yes, who's afraid of the big bad Wolf? I wonder if he got his own spin-off series. He should have done. Although they did bring back Gladiators in the 2000s, I believe. Ian Wright presented it. Oh, I love Ian Wright as a presenter. Oh, he's one of my favourite football pundits. I'm going to break off from that for a special mention for Mario Kart, which is another game I played to death. I went to Replay. I keep talking about Replay. It's called Play Expo now. In 2012, and I was one of the first to get in. I didn't queue jump, honest. I was just near the entrance. I was very lucky, and I got in within half an hour. And there was nobody on the floor with all the games and things, so I went straight over to the Super Mario Kart stand. And Sammy Settin, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Seatim, who I believe is the world champion at Super Mario Kart, was there. And I started having a bash at this, and I just picked a random character. I picked Donkey Kong. And I did quite rubbish. To be fair, it's been over a year since I've played the game. And he came over and said, you know, it's easier if you pick one of the other characters. Yeah. I'm being told off by the Super Mario Kart World Champion. Oh, yeah, I'm going to put that pen down now. You can have that. You can hold me to that. Now, we're drawing to the end of this particular episode of GamesWorld Commentaries with Harry Yack. It's been a little bit shorter than usual, a couple of minutes earlier, but we've packed quite a lot into this relatively short episode of Madam Pixel's Peep Parlour, the specialised cheats magazine that Hewland produced. Oh, there's must be hundreds of these lying on tapes in attics up and down the country. They're just hidden gems, they really are, and I love it whenever somebody uploads one to YouTube, whenever they appear. A massive shout out to the guy who uploaded this. ArchiveAerial, that's the name of the bloke, I just looked it up then. Thanks very, very much, mate. I owe you not one but 2 pens, and a post-it note, and... no, I'm not giving you my mobile cover, I need that. But, get in touch with me, and I'll send you those. Or not, because I have no Jiffy bags remaining. Now actually here, we're going to see a short segment. People could... yes, apparently they scrambled Sky 1 after a certain length of time, and you had to write off to continue getting it. That's if you didn't have the movie channels. I don't know how many channels they used to have on Sky back then. I only watched Sky 1 and the computer channel, which I believe came on after the Granada cable TV station thingy that they used to have. Anyway, why am I still talking? I'm going to shut up, and I promise next time it will definitely be another Games Master commentary, possibly with Grumpy Gaming HD. So I will see you then, and until then, go and look in your attic and dig out any of those old episodes. Do it now, as Arnold might say. I'll be back.